You are listening to The Art of Sales. Everyone sells every day, and this is your source for conversational, real-world sales and prospecting methods that you are comfortable using and that get results. You'll help people buy instead of pushing them into being sold. Here's your host, Art Sobczak.
Well, hi again and welcome. I don't know if I told you, but I've got a couple kids in their low 30s, and I got to tell you, raising kids is a great lesson in salesmanship. Both observing kids, where we can learn so much from them, because kids are really the greatest salespeople in the world, but then also how, as parents, we interact with our kids and try to get them to do things. So really everything that I use and I teach professionally in my business-to-business training works pretty well at home also. So for example, take some of the strategies and the techniques that we use as parents to get kids to take action. And maybe you've seen or heard, or maybe you were the parent that said, you really need to clean up your room. Now, I admit, I do remember saying that to my daughter, who was 13 years old at the time. And her reaction was really very wise, because she just simply said, "Oh, okay, Dad." Now, come on, there's no commitment there. And of course, the room didn't get clean. And my daughter knew she would avoid trouble, temporarily anyway, by agreeing to that vague statement. Now, let's put this in the scenario of business. Let's say a sales rep says, "Well, you really should take a look at our Ultra line." And the prospect says, "Oh yeah, I'll do that." Same thing, right? It's wishing for commitment. And the prospect knows that he or she hasn't committed to anything and has easily brushed off the sales rep. So let's look at some techniques that are designed to get better answers. So let's take the kid cleaning the room example again. So how about this one? So when are you going to clean your room? Well, here's a better one. Are you going to clean your room now or when you get back from softball practice? Oh, this one's actually much better. Okay, you'll be able to go out after your room is clean. And I'm assuming you're going to do it right now. That reminds me of, there was this old story of the soldier who was serving in the mess tent. And when he'd ask, "You don't want any beets, do you?" Of course, most people answered negatively. So realizing there might be a better way, he tried, "You want beets, right?" He moved more beets with that question, of course. And then tinkering with his approach, he used this one. "One serving of beets or two?" And then his beat results skyrocketed, and everyone was taking at least one and some taking two. Okay, so let me give you some very simple questioning tips here. First, say it with conviction. One thing I learned when I was watching the recent election cycle and watching the spin doctors from both sides of the aisle during those elections was that if somebody says something with conviction, it really makes it more believable. I mean, I listen to people make comments that, I really considered off the wall, but they did it with so much passion that sometimes I said, "Oh, well, maybe there's some truth to that." Next, don't be vague. Think in terms of the concrete, not the abstract. So for example, this is concrete. Will you sign the agreement? This one's abstract. Well, we'd really like to have you as a customer. So you can see, asking for a specific action gets decisions. Alluding to something, kind of touching along the edges of it, is really just wishing for the sale or whatever commitment you'd like. Next, attach timeframes to commitments. This really increases the probability something's going to happen. Now, I know people don't always do what they say, but if you ask, "When can I expect the signed agreement?" and then you wait for the answer with them giving you the time frame, there's a much greater likelihood it's actually going to happen, because now they're going through in their mind's eye themselves actually doing that. So they can see themselves doing it, and they're attaching the time frame, the picture of when they see themselves doing it. Little ninja trick there for you. Next, don't assume too early. Using the old multiple choice close in an opening statement to set an appointment is, this is so old and tired. For example, I'd like to take some of your time to meet with you. Would 2 or 4 o'clock be better? We only want to assume when some agreement signals have been expressed and you've traveled through the other parts of the sales process. All right, so to sum up this brief episode, ask better questions, you're going to get better answers. And you know what time it is.
Your attitude will be iron. Never will, never fear. What they say is the art of the sales quote of the day.
That's right, time for the quote of the day. And today's quote comes from Ted Bell. And there's a zillion Ted Bells out there, but the best I could tell, not trying to rhyme there, is Ted was an author. And here is his quote. A wise man never regrets the questions he asks, only the ones he didn't ask. Ooh, that's pretty good. A wise man never regrets the questions he asks, only the ones he did not ask. And speaking of asking a question, I'd like to ask you, would you please share this show with 2 other colleagues who could benefit from it? They'd thank you, and I will as well. So send them to theartofsales.com. Our show site is theartofsales.com. And if you don't have your copy yet of my free book, How to Place the Successful Sales and Prospecting Call, where I go through my proven 7-step sales process, I want to give it to you free. I want to mail it to you. It's a turn the pages 180-page book. Yeah, actually written on paper. No iPad or Kindle here. It's a real book. And it is free. We do ask you to help with the, actually not even the whole shipping charge, because we're taking a loss on this. So we ask you to help with the shipping charge, and you can get that at freesalesbook.com. freesalesbook.com. That is for U.S. customers only, but for international friends, we do have an international option. Just look for the link there. All right, until next time, go out and make it your best sales day ever. I'm Art Sobczak.